Hello everyone and welcome back to another Minecraft update video. This is for 1.19.1 pre-release 2, which may just be the first ever pre-release to follow a release candidate. The 1.19.1 update is not quite ready yet, and in this video we will discuss the details of this new pre-release and the community outreach post Mojang made a couple of days back. I'm also going to take this opportunity to address the criticism I received in my Outrage of Minecraft video. So I listened to what many of you had to say in the comments and I took it to heart. I believe the shortcomings of the video are mostly my own and I consider it a learning lesson in writing these scripted thought videos. I had not fully thought out how to present my ideas as counter to the emerging narrative. And fueled by concern that the atmosphere around this community was igniting, my goal was to simply provide another perspective to calm the heated conversations, and I certainly didn't want to dismiss anyone's feelings or claim that they were overreacting. As a result, I came off as condescending, with the video title and thumbnail also playing into this. I actually created them after the video was finished without considering the negative impression that they created. It's all too often that I see online discourse being pushed to extremes that are unhelpful in creating an understanding of a complex situation that certainly can't appease everyone. I wanted to bring some balance to this equation, but in doing so I presented myself as being on one side of the discussion, and believe me, I too have some concerns and critiques about the moderation policy that's being broadly implemented, and I will share those concerns later in the video. What I won't do, however, is use them to blow things out of proportion. Framing technical issues and obvious bugs as horrendous intentions on Mojang's behalf is an all too easy way to garner attention and outrage, rather than filling in bug reports and working with Minecraft's developers. As you'll see in this latest pre-release, many bugs and issues that were discovered have since been resolved, and it probably won't be the last of them. It fuels a bad atmosphere to present these issues as malicious intent. Some players may even end up thinking it's only because of the outrage that Mojang fixed them. Is this what Mojang really wants, to deliberately upset and outrage their own player base? The game is continuously being developed and is always subject to change. With my video, I was trying to push things away from this perspective of seeing present issues as permanent, but clearly I got that wrong. My intentions were to bring some calm to the situation and establish a healthier discourse and create productive feedback for Mojang and Microsoft, who are listening, as we will learn shortly. I made a mess of these intentions though, but that failure is an opportunity to learn, and I want to thank again everyone who shared their thoughts and feelings, and hopefully next time I'll be able to do better. So before we get to the pre-release, let's take a look at this article addressing the player chat reporting feature and answering many questions that have been sent their way. Here they set out their motives to protect players from harmful experiences and aiming to reduce toxicity within these online communities. It's also clarified that swearing and profanity are not bannable offences. Of course, there is more context provided in the article than my short summary here. Online chat is not going to be monitored, only reports make it to the moderation team, which is not run by bots. This is not going to be an automated system, but one run by teams of moderators overseen by investigators who are there to catch unfair bans and misinterpretations of events. The article also states that the changes do indeed affect private servers, of which private server hosts have already agreed to by signing the EULA agreement that is required to actually boot up and host any type of Java server. So although this is not agreeable for many out there, this is basically their legal right to do, as Java server runners have been signing the EULA agreement to launch a Minecraft server. And along with this article, Mojang shared another big list of player questions and their answers. It also includes a link to an appeals form, meaning that bans can indeed be appealed and overturned, given the context is right, of course. So now we can move on to the pre-release itself, and it will be of no surprise that every bug and report and technical change are all related to the player chat reporting tool. This includes measures to reduce modification to messages and tampering with the message reporting system. And it will probably be likely that more exploits will be discovered, and if you do find one, please remember to use the bug reporting tool to get that information to Mojang. Some of these issues fixed include being able to send messages to the chat via entities, and then in the reporting tool you can actually select those messages from the entities. There was another issue that was fixed where online players would try to connect to a server that's in offline mode and wouldn't be able to. And last of all, the reporting icon has been changed from the color red to the color yellow, so it looks less severe even though it pretty much does the same thing. So before pre-release 2, there was release candidate 1, and just so it's not confusing, the release candidate changes have been moved on to pre-release 2. So in this update, there were some tweaks to the size and layout of various elements of the chat reporting tool, as well as some of the categories being changed and removed and adjusted too. This update though did have one gameplay change within it. Turns out the LA wasn't respecting the mob griefing game rules. This means if it's set to false, LAs can't pick up items in your world. So moving on, let's talk about a release date for 1.19.1. There isn't one as of this point in time, but we do have this quote from the website which reads, "We've yet to fully decide on a new release date, but it won't be too far in the future." And if you ask me, it's probably going to be a couple of weeks, but it might also depend on how many issues continue to be discovered with the system as it currently is. So earlier I mentioned that I do have criticisms of what's taking place. Although the situation is sudden and has been implemented with a lack of communication, it's really two other considerations that burden me the most. Firstly, how this form of moderation applies to private servers. These types of communities have matured over the last 10 years without much help or guidance from Mojang and operate with a range of moderation tools, systems and personnel in hierarchies, all things that naturally emerge from communities. The current reporting tools can lack the historical context these personnel have with players who may have a history of behavior that goes beyond one game chat session. It's not hard to imagine a disgruntled player attempting to exploit these tools using that lack of historical context to their advantage. In other words, it feels like Mojang are imposing a less effective system where communities have already figured out their own way. And to bring some balance to my views, as I always like to do, I'm sure you, just like I have also encountered power-hungry admins and abusive moderators from time to time in online communities. They are equally capable of making unfair decisions too. But for me, on this issue, I ultimately side with the server owners. I feel like this is their space that they have to create, foster and run, and perhaps it should just be left that way. My second point is with the banning system, as once presented was seemingly extreme. Permanent bans never sound good, and it seemed most of the community, myself included, was unaware of any appeals system. It will ultimately be reserved for the worst offensives, yet we are likely to hear of the innocuous examples where bans are clearly unwarranted, a casualty of such systems. One that I am in no way saying is right, but should we also consider it alongside the goods that such a system can bring? Again, some of these examples have already been shared to fuel outrage when 1.19.1 hasn't actually been released yet and the chat report tool was still in a testing phase. In my opinion, an unhealthy way to bring such concerns to light. But I do think that all bans should have a route to be appealed, as everyone needs a chance to make amends, and permanent bans feel rather heavy-handed to impose on players. And I could say more, but I think I'm going to leave it there for now. Take in your feedback and continue to work on how I communicate some of these ideas. But anyway, that's it from me this video, and I shall see you soon with another one. Bye bye.